We have reviewed a lot of ASUS laptops, but this one is special. It is a convertible laptop and I have a soft spot for this type of form factor because it can be flipped backwards and to be used as a tablet without detaching or attaching any additional accessories. It can even stand on its own if you want to watch YouTube videos as well. But other than the form factor, it still needs to have great hardware and great battery life. After all, it is still a laptop. So after using this laptop to do a lot of my work, here's what I think about it. Starting off, we'll have to talk about the most important thing about the convertible laptop, which is the screen. This is an OLED screen, 14-inch, and a resolution of 2880 by 1800 pixels with an aspect ratio of 16 by 10, and its refresh rate is at 90Hz too. Obviously, this is a magnificent screen. The colors are magnificent and our color meter reports about 100% coverage of both sRGB and DCI-P3 color gamuts too. The maximum delta E is about 2.82, which is slightly high, but the average is at about 0.1, so I really don't have much worry about it. The maximum brightness is a little bit low, it's at only about 350 nits, and that is weird, especially for an OLED screen. Maybe it's because the touchscreen digitizer layer is above all of the other OLED layers, which might affect the brightness overall. But nonetheless, 350 nits is good enough for daily usage.
We also got a special lens from Ambient Optics to test the blue light emission, and as we can see here, it is indeed very low. We did a test in the YouTube shorts, so watch that as well.
For a convertible laptop, the hinge is also very stiff and I can poke the laptop screen without it wobbling that much, which is fantastic. But the hinge is still smooth enough for me to bend backwards when I want to use it whenever I want. And for whatever reason, ASUS also implemented the ergo-lift hinge design to this laptop. And I mean, there are other conventional clamshell laptops from ASUS that does not have ergo-lift design nowadays. So I think that it's just a little bit weird they decided to just put it in a convertible laptop. Also, have you tried playing PC games using a touchscreen? There are some games like Papers, Please in particular will be fundamentally broken. The game has upgrades that let you perform tasks faster using a keyboard and mouse, but you can skip all of that if you're just going to use a touchscreen. I also want to add that all games that I played on this laptop, be it pixelated, stylized or hyper-realistic, the OLED screen makes them pop up so much, even my visual novels look absolutely fantastic. Then we'll need good performance to ensure whatever we're doing on this laptop looks good. Powered by the latest 13th Gen Intel Core i5 1340p with the Intel Iris Xe graphics, coupled with 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of SSD, we can do a lot of things on this laptop. I tested some games since it handled everything perfectly well, and with Genshin Impact at the lowest graphical quality, at its native resolution, we can get a pretty good frame rate at about 40-ish. And do take note that we are testing everything using the high performance mode. We can toggle the performance mode using FM plus F keys, and since it is using a P-series chip, it can only take up to 28 watts maximum on paper, but as what we can see here, it can only take in about 26 watts maximum. The temperature is also rather high and it can reach about 85 degrees Celsius, and the fan noise is definitely very loud. When we are not gaming though, we can use this laptop in either silence or balance speed, and the fan noise is going to be barely noticeable, and the Intel Core i5 1340p can handle all of those tasks that I want to do without any issues at all. I believe that you could even do some video editing work as well, but truly depends on what type of videos that you want to edit. It can definitely handle simpler ones, but once you start using some complex effects, then it will kind of struggle. Let's not forget about the Asus Pen. This is included inside the box, and it's not really that new because we encountered this pen before in other Asus laptops like the VivoBook 13 Slate OLED from more than a year ago. And yeah, I'm not really an artist, so I'm just gonna do some simple illustrations and it still looks good. And coupled with the Intel Core i5 1340p once again, we can run some heavier illustrating apps like CorelDRAW, Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator and whatnot, and this laptop can handle it. However, my only problem is that there's no place to actually store this pen alongside with the laptop because there's no magnet to attach it. The keyboard is surprisingly clean and it feels very similar to previous Zenbooks that I've reviewed. The keys are very springy and fun to type on while offering a lot of travel distance, but I'm really not a fan of the half-height arrow keys. The trackpad is good and has fantastic palm rejection as there was no accidental detection while I was typing, but I do find myself use the touchscreen a lot more than the trackpad since, you know, it's there. ASUS also stuffed in the number pad feature, so you can hold this part of the trackpad and then a virtual number pad appears on the touchpad. A nifty feature to have, but yeah, it's only for those who really want to use a number pad anyway. The ports on this laptop is fairly good, but I think their placement is kinda swapped. I would have preferred the USB 2.0 port to be positioned where the HDMI port is and then move one Thunderbolt 4 port to the left side so that I can plug in either side to charge the laptop. Speaking of that, yes, this laptop also uses USB Type-C to charge, so if you want to connect a charger, then you have to sacrifice one of the Thunderbolt 4 just to charge the laptop. This laptop does come with a 65-watt charger, but I have never used this charger since I can get the same level of performance when charging using the Ugreen 100W GAN charger that I'm using in my own room. And I also tried gaming on both the Ugreen 100W GAN charger and the stock charger, and the performance is the same, so that's great news for those who do not want to travel this charger and travels a lot. As for upgradability, we can't do anything much other than just to change out the SSD, so there's really nothing much to see here other than the 75Wh battery. When I use this laptop, I get around 5 to 6 hours of battery life while using the laptop at 60% brightness and at silent fan profile mode. Do keep in mind that OLED screens will have a different power consumption, particularly when it comes to what we are looking at or viewing through this laptop screen. So if you are viewing that stuff that are mostly black in color, then it will conserve a lot more battery, but if it's mostly white, then the consumption will be a lot higher, especially at higher brightness. And all of this magnificent hardware is packed into a very thin laptop weighing in at only 1.5 kilograms, and this entire laptop is also made out of metal and it is very sturdy. Finally, this laptop is priced at 5,499 ringgit, and I would say that it's actually worth it considering that we've also tried another 2-in-1 laptop recently, and all I have to say is that ASUS Zenbook 14 Flip OLED, this one, has a much better integration for both hardware and software, and it creates a very holistic experience for the laptop tablet hybrid experience, and also at a very low price, relatively speaking. So that's it, that's all we have to share with you about this laptop. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section below, and we'll see you guys in the other laptop review.